Eighth and possibly final public January 6th committee hearing is tonight in prime time at 5 p.m. and we'll be bringing it to you live right here on 23 ABC.
All right, let's take a look right now this morning live from D.C. There is the White House. One Democratic congressman is calling tonight a, quote, profound moment of reckoning for America. But just how many people outside of D.C. are actually paying attention? Joe St. George takes a look.
New testimony and new evidence is expected in tonight's January 6th committee hearing. Of course, the big question for us reporters covering this thing is whether anyone outside of Washington is paying attention to this. To find out, we left the Beltway and headed to Smithfield, Virginia. We didn't just choose this place randomly. This is part of the 2nd Congressional District of Virginia, one of the most competitive House districts in the country. It's the district Representative Elaine Laurier is running for re-election in. She's a Democrat on the January 6th committee and will be leading the hearing tonight. She's running against Republican Jen Kiggins. Off Main Street here, we found Democrats.
I did vote for Joe Biden.
Republicans.
I don't care for Biden.
People who are watching. Have you watched all of these hearings or most of these hearings?
I've watched most of them.
And people who are not.
So much of it, I have to say, was fake news.
What we found is pretty consistent with the latest polling from Quinnipiac University. Around 58% of the country are following the hearings closely or somewhat closely. 74% of Democrats are watching this. 51% of Republicans are too.
A lot's coming out that the general public did not know.
Barbara Bendel told me she will be tuning in. She's a former Donald Trump supporter, but she says these hearings left her disgusted.
I've been real disappointed because it shows how a power-hungry president can do so much damage.
Over at the next table,
things are not what they used to be.
Carol Goralczyk says it's the witnesses that have kept her watching. She was particularly struck by Cassidy Hutchinson, the young Trump aide who testified the former president knew the rioters were armed and that he encouraged them to go to the Capitol.
I just felt she was being totally honest. There's no way she could make all that up.
Tonight's hearing is expected to provide the most complete account of what former President Trump was doing in the White House while the rioters were breaching the Capitol.
He was a very outspoken man.
But that won't be enough to get Tim Hersom, who voted for Trump, to tune in. Though he does plan to read news reports after the hearing takes place. So far, though, he hasn't been convinced.
I wish someone could stand up for him, but I really don't know how much involvement he had.
And then there is Rebecca.
I don't know anything about him.
You haven't watched it all?
No. On purpose.
She told me she doesn't have time as a mom to devote hours to television, and while she hates to look at the images of January 6th, she says if Donald Trump runs for president again, she may vote for him.
If he's the lesser of two evils again, I'm going to vote for him again.
These answers are a reminder that in many parts of the country, January 6th isn't the top story. Ultimately, the Department of Justice will decide if anyone, including former President Trump, gets charged with a crime. In Smithfield, Virginia, I'm Joe St. George.